Hey there everybody, this is Gary from Constricted and Addicted. Today I want to talk about complacency when you're owning large snakes, so stick around and see what comes up. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Emma. Emma is my mainland female reticulated python. She is, in my world, a very large snake. I really wasn't going to do a video tonight. We have the live stream coming up, and I really hope that everybody tunes in this weekend for the live stream with Brian Fairley from Reptile Revival, Jennifer Valentine from Mod Exotics, Nathan Katz from the Retic Lounge, Spencer Vance from Coiled Retics. This is going to be a super killer show. So please, if you get the opportunity, join in. It's going to be a live stream. So if you have any questions about owning reticulated pythons and what we go through when we're handling them, please join in. Check us out, and we'll do what we can to answer any questions that you may have. What I wanted to talk about was complacency and owning a reticulated python, and these animals are so beautiful. When you've worked with them for a long time and they get to this very docile point, you can forget just how big and how powerful, how strong they are, and what their instincts are. This is an animal that wants to feed. This is an animal that wants to eat, but she's got a moment when she wants to eat, and then she's got moments when she doesn't want to eat. Us as keepers, it's our responsibility to break them of that cycle. Typically, anytime you enter her cage, or it was actually Georgia, who I had the experience with tonight, anytime you enter their enclosure, it's my responsibility to read their behavior and make sure that they don't come after me, make sure that I'm protected, and make sure that I'm doing everything I can to turn off that feeding response that 90% of the time they are going to have when you open up that enclosure. And that's what happened. The other thing that happens is that sometimes we have our enclosures in smaller rooms, or we have furniture around that enclosure. So when you open up that enclosure, and this is what happened to me, I opened up Georgia's enclosure. She was on the right side of the enclosure, and I saw her come around, but she came around really fast. And typically, whenever I open up the enclosure, I use a hook. I'll take the hook it around the glass, and use that hook to pull the glass open. And what had happened is I had my hand, and I saw her coming, and I took my hand off the glass. She came around the glass, and before I could even take 3 steps backwards, she was almost in my chest. Now, she wasn't striking at me, and she didn't have her mouth open, but what she did was she was coming at me in a very alarming rate as far as I was concerned. So one of the things that I did is I usually never ever use my hands to open up the enclosure, even if I can see the animal and I know where it's at. Usually, just for the safety caution of it all, I use a hook. And this time I didn't. I took for granted that she wasn't going to do anything. She was up against the enclosure as if, hey, Dad, I want to come out. Please take me out. And I just, like I said, I took it for granted. And I opened up that enclosure, and she came darting out at me. Like I said, it wasn't a strike, but it was like a homing missile. And like I was the target, and she was going to, zone in on me. And it could have been a very bad incident if I had tripped over one of my pieces of furniture and lost my grip, my balance, or if I hadn't moved and she would have come after me. Like I said, I don't know that's what she was doing, but I can't take for granted that that's not what her intention was. It's not that she is a aggressive or defensive or mean snake. What she was, if it was anything, it was a feeding response. And I didn't take the care to turn that feeding response off before I entered into her enclosure. So That's where my mistake was. And when you have these beautiful, very, very handleable reticulated pythons, it's very easy for me to let my guard down and think that, it's going to be okay. I can get her right out, you know, and that's just not the case. They are by instinct an apex predator. So when you handle and own a snake of this caliber, a snake of this size, a snake that's this powerful, I mean, if not for the snake's safety, it's important that we address these animals with care, concern, and responsibility. And I'll be the first to say that, you know, I kind of let that go tonight. I let that out the window. So, you know, as much as I want to come on here and explain to people, you know, how important it is to be safe and responsible with reticulated pythons, it can be very easy for me, for myself, to let my guard down and potentially put myself in harm when handling these beautiful animals. So I don't want to do a whole long video tonight. This is going to be really quick. We've got a huge live stream coming this weekend. Like I said, we've got Brian Fairley, we've got Jennifer Valentine, we've got Nathan Katz, and we've got Spencer Vance. And it's just going to be an amazing, amazing live stream, you guys. Please take the time, join us, ask questions. If you've got anything that you'd like to know about reticulated pythons, this is the time to do it. This podcast will be geared towards reticulated pythons. I love this girl. Keepers, care, and the responsible safekeeping of these animals. And you know, I want to do a shout out real quick too. I had a gentleman message me tonight and ask me about, they want to move to a bigger snake. Would a reticulated python be, you know, a good choice? And the only thing I can tell people is just please do your research. You know, I appreciate it, and I thanked him so much for reaching out and even asking the question. They keep ball pythons, and they wanted to know if, you know, if owning a reticulated python was a good move after owning ball pythons. And what I tell people, do your research, get a boa constrictor first. Boa constrictors can get up to, you know, sometimes 8 feet long, but they're definitely a good intermediate snake that can get some size that will definitely let you know if you are ready to move up to the next level of these bad boys. Now, of course, you could always go to a super dwarf or a dwarf, but always remember that a super dwarf does not guarantee that the animal is going to stay under 10 feet long. And when people want a reticulated python and they talk about super dwarf or dwarf, that's really what they're looking for, is a snake that's not going to get over 10 feet long. You know, there is no guarantee with a quote unquote super dwarf or a dwarf. So do your research. And I really appreciate when people message me and ask me, you know, hey, is this a good idea? Because all I can really tell you is that do your research and don't just jump into getting a reticulated python. Hey guys, hopefully we'll see you on Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here, Constricted and Addicted. We're going to have a killer live stream. I hope to see you there. Thanks for watching.